Wow. Hi, everybody. Buenos dias, pura vida. Welcome to Choice, Change and Action podcast. So you have me, your host. I am at El Lugar in Costa Rica at the moment. And it's interesting. I just literally pressed the record button and just perceived this download of energy from El Lugar and also what I know we desire to talk about today. So I'd like to welcome my beautiful, amazing, phenomenal friend, Katerina Wallentin.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I'm joining from Sweden and longing to come to Lagar. I'm on my way there soon. So I get to
Yes,
tap
you'll
into
be
that.
here soon. And we we're just commenting about how. So, by the way, guys, if you don't know this, you can now watch this podcast on Spotify as well, but you can always watch it on YouTube. So, wherever you choose to listen or watch, if you want to see us, not that, well, you should check us out. We're hot. But literally, I am hot and humid. She was saying how I look like I've got hardly any clothes on, and she's like in autumn in Sweden.
Yeah.
So, it's just that's the diversity of the world, huh?
Yeah.
So I was having, when you have with someone you work with, friend, etc., like voicemails, etc., back and forth, and Kat left me this message about a video that I had made, and we have just finished certified facilitator training with Access Consciousness here at El Lugar with myself, Gary Douglas, the founder of Access, and Dr. Dane here, the co-creator, and it was phenomenal. Like, it was so good. I mean, they're all like, it's like they all are better than the last. Nearly every Access Consciousness class is. And there was an energy that we have been accessing with so many of the tools. Can I just sidebar? Very excited about facilitating Choice for Possibilities in Ecuador next week. So with all of these different tools, and the way Access works is, we have these tools, we have these processes, and ultimately what you have is choice. And as we choose and as these tools come and we sort of have more freedom in our world, then something else pops. And it's like, oh, and there's what I notice is, I mean, the mantra of Access, all of life comes to us with ease and joy and glory. It just increases more and more and more. And I made this video. I was on my balcony here at El Lugar, and I think it was after day 3 or 4. And, I was talking about the elements of intimacy because I had a call with that. And yet the energy I know I was being and what was going on for me was there was this energy of like no need, just choice. And Katerina left me a message about it and saying what has been going on for her in regards to this topic. So, Kat, how do you want to come into this? Do you want to? I can talk more about this, or you can just come in now and sort of say what came up for you when I made this video. And I'm asking you to be vulnerable. I get that because it was pretty sweet, vulnerable message you left me.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you said the thing that video was actually about the 5 elements of intimacy, because I didn't even hear that. What I was hearing was you were talking about how little need you had in your world and how much more choice was showing up. And I was looking at how, all the time, like if I look at myself 15 years ago, I had so much more need in my world. I probably wouldn't have put it that way, but there was so much need to prove things and to defend things and to hold on to things, all of that. But for every change, like there is like a new layer. And this time it's near like the best energetic I can describe, like a drop where things kind of fell away. And when you said that with intimacy, it is really having more intimacy with me. Because what I was perceiving was that so much of my need to prove myself to different people or to avoid different things or to defend different things, they just weren't there anymore. And that created this really intimacy with me where I am trusting me to choose, not to choose the right thing. It's not about that at all. It's just trusting me to choose without it having to somehow relate to anyone or anything that is attached to a need. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does make sense. And let's sort of, because what I'd like to do is extrapolate this a little bit too with how you function, how I function, and what we are currently choosing and what we can choose. Because people listening to this, it's a pretty big topic, and it's not, I don't see many people not functioning from some sort of like need in their world. And as you mentioned, the two things too, trying to prove something or even get approval, like validation from someone or something else. And what I've noticed coming up too is I've gone to make choices, and I realized how much I was putting a choice, like going, oh, so I mean, I can use where will my life be in 5 years if I choose this? Is this congruent with what I'd like my life to be like? Like, all of these different questions. And yet there was still this filter that it would go through, which could vary. But a lot of the time it would be this filter of what is right or wrong. And when you go through the filter of right and wrong, there is a lot that comes up with that. It could be financially. Is this a right choice financially? Or it could be, with something that you're choosing that quote unquote has not got to do with work, right? And it's like, okay, so how does that affect my work? Or, all these different things. And it comes in a nanosecond. Like, it's not something that is really cognitive. It's it's this filter system, but it has this energy to it, to me, that is more solid than this flow. And so what I've noticed in the past week is I was like choosing different things, and I'm like, wow, it's really, I get yes and no. And I'm like, oh, this is just a choice. And as it's just a choice, I've really had to step into perceiving an energy of what I choose today and what future that creates, but not by definition, just from allowance, expansion, exploration, adventure, no rightness, no wrongness, like just what else is possible with this. And it's a really different energy.
And it's so subtle, like you're saying, and so quick, like it's a nanosecond. So what I've also noticed is, like, when I'm on my own and I live by myself and I spend a lot of time on my own, I really enjoy that. And what my choices then have more of that, just a choice.
Yeah.
And then when I interact with other people, then what I was noticing is, like, then suddenly the validation or the acknowledgement or the approval became somehow, it like sneaked in energetically, and it still influenced like how I was choosing. I would say that it still does, it's not like it's gone totally, and I'm noticing it way more. I can hear it. Like, it's that nanosecond. There's like I read somewhere that before, there is like a little split second before we make a choice. And that split second is when we can actually like not go to the automatic, not go. And it's now I'm like catching that. Is that really like, what would I choose if I just chose? And like you're saying, the yes and no that I am able to have when I'm, when I'm on my own, I would like to have that all the time, because that choice doesn't go through all my computations and my figuring out and that I'm so, so good at. And it doesn't create the kind of life that I would like to live, the kind of freedom that I would like to have in my life. And yeah, and it really is like the choices I make are not better. It's just that they have that flow to them, like you were talking about.
Yeah. And I'm just looking at, like, before we press record here, you have a horse here currently and you're selling it. And I was asking you a question about it. And we didn't talk about this as in like a right or wrong. I was just asking because I was curious. I was like, oh, Kat, you're selling your horse. And I was like, what's up? How come? And she gave me her explanation, which was totally, yeah, I can see she's choosing for her. But I can see that as an example of how you might not choose for yourself. Like, I'm currently looking at buying a second horse. And someone said to me this morning, oh, do you want to do this or not, with this thing? And I said, I'm not sure yet. I want to ride him again. I don't want to get a horse just because I can get a horse.
Yeah.
I want to get a horse because it's a contribution to my being, to my future, to the planet, to all of it, but that's me choosing and not looking at what somebody else's point of view is. And it's like we're taught to look for other people's points of view in our choices, like from when we're born, from our family, from our friends, like all of it and more. So let's do this. Everywhere that you are looking to someone else or something else when you choose, will you destroy and uncreate it times a godzillion, Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all 100 shorts, boys, proveds, creations, spaces, and beyonds. One of the things that we've been talking about in Access recently is platforms. And for me, if you literally think of a stage, right, or even your house, okay, something that you feel really familiar or comfortable on or in, that's your platform. And the basis of it is how you define yourself, like the who, what, where, when, why, how you define yourself, and you sit in that platform rather than, as Kat and I are talking about, is being in question and choosing from literally infinite possibilities. Like instead we go, oh no, that's not part of my platform. That's not part of my platform. My platform is where I'm comfortable, is where it's really familiar. So I will not choose outside of that. So everywhere that you are only choosing from your platform instead of the exploration of the adventure of friggin' living, where you destroy and uncreate it, right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all 100 shorts, boys, proveds, creations, spaces, and beyonds. With Access Me, you can literally have access consciousness in your pocket. And the best part, you choose how much. There are 3 different subscription options, whether you just want to dip your toes in or have full access to over 25 years of classes. Go to access.me and start today.
And it's when you say the platform too, I think because a lot of time we've learned since we were kids we have to justify every single choice. We have to give a reason for it. We have to justify it. We have to explain it. So I think in that, like we're using our platform to find the justification, the explanations, and somehow that platform also then shows us how those like explanation, justification have to be received by the other people around us to be the correct one. So there's so much involved in this where for me, that's that kind of like a net or like a structure, a cohesive structure around me that as long as I'm trying to fulfill that, I don't have that flow of choice that is available. And choice is so funny because it's also, I think a lot of times when I've started to change this before, it's nearly like I've gone to the teenage part where you instead choose against,
right,
which is like the
petulant,
opposite.
hands on hips, stomping foot.
I'm going to choose my life and you have nothing, which is not choice at all. That's just the other side. That's like a reaction to whatever I decided. So that's why that flow is so, it's the best, like really the best description of like, it's a flow of choice because you can choose again. You can choose to, today you want to buy another horse. Tomorrow you don't want to buy another horse, and then you want to buy, like you can keep choosing and exploring that choice until you choose it.
Yeah. And also, okay, so what I was looking at in the last few days too is exploring that choice and choosing though too, because as you choose, you create a different future. Like if I buy this horse now, it's like I create a different future for the horse, for me, for others, etc. And then you choose it, like even I'm choosing to, in this 10 seconds, my horse is always on heat at the moment. She's just always horny. And so I keep asking, do you want to have a baby? And it was sort of like, meh, yes, no. And recently I just got yes. So I've been looking at what horse I could breed her with. So then that's also creating a different future. I would like more of these beautiful horses in the world. So that's also committing to something. And I think a lot of people avoid choosing because they don't want to commit. But how many times have you misidentified and misapplied who or what you're committing to, rather than sort of, as Kat was implying at the beginning, is you're actually committing to you.
Yeah.
It's like, are you willing to commit to you? Never have to justify your choices, ever. You never have to justify your choices. If you are committing to you, you choose because it is expanding your life and living. And as Kat mentioned too, it's not choosing against.
And we talk a lot about this in Access, adding to your life. And that's also where lately I've been super interested in like vibrations and frequencies and how they interact with energies, and like this whole, it's like a whole area is opening up from kind of choosing to start explore it and then finding out more and finding out more and finding out more. So I'm now choosing to learn more about it. I'm choosing to start like a training to learn more about frequencies and tones and all of that. And it's not against anything, it's adding something too. It's like taking like a world that is this, but then like adding into it. And that's also where choice becomes so expansive. It becomes something where I can choose that. I don't have to justify it or explain it. I'm choosing that because I'm choosing it.
Yeah.
It's just like a,
It
and then,
pops. Like that's
yeah,
how I look at it. It pops. It pings you. Yeah.
it pings. And I, now when you're saying that, it's also the more that need falls away. And you know, we're not talking about the Maslow's stair of need. I can't remember what it's called, the ladder of needs. It's more the kind of need that we actually create based on our platforms, right?
Mm,
So the
yeah.
so but as they fall away, then things can pop in a whole different way. Because when things don't have to be explained or justified,
Mm.
there's so much more availability to pop in the world.
So can you give us an example of, because as you're talking about this, I can, like you said before, I can perceive the energy where people do this either or, like this,
Yeah.
like, okay, I need to fulfill everyone's needs, etc., whether it's family, friends, partner, kids, you know, and then the, you know, I am just choosing for me. And it's like, that's like, as you explained, that's not choosing for you. Can you explain a little bit more about what has shown up for you as, because it's not less contribution to where you are and who you work with or who
Hmm.
you play with, etc. It's something different. Can you explain a little bit more about that?
Well, I would say so. One of the things that one maybe a good example would be traveling, like
Hmm.
where I go traveling, because
Yeah,
that's such a,
great
it's been such a
example.
big part of my life. And I've been working with Access for nearly 16 years. And most of that part, I've been traveling all the time. So do you, you know, we
Mm.
travel all the time. And the I tended to choose a lot of where I travel based on other people and even like what classes I would travel to. And what I had like, I need to be here for, and then there's a lot of reasons why I needed to be
Hmm.
there. And they weren't based on like inner knowing or they were based on computation. Most of it like was based on computation. And so what I've discovered is the more I'm willing to actually let go of that, let go of the proving, and really follow the energetics of where it pops, like our best description, like what actually pops, the more freedom I have to choose that without, like, because I'm not trying to explain it or justify it. I actually have the space to choose it. When I was trying to explain or justify my choices, I would continuously end up in a situation where people were trying to convince me to do something that I didn't want to do, or I felt bad, or I had like it felt like I should have
Stop.
been, had
It felt
FOMO.
bad.
Yeah.
Let's expand, because that's, I think that's why people choose that need so much, is they feel bad.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, which is a total fucking lie. So it's like, what is that? Can you just expand a little bit more on that for the people listening? It's like, how many areas do you quote unquote feel bad when you choose or don't choose something? Wow.
Yeah, well, it's yeah, you are so correct. That I think that's one of the, because what we're I think what we're talking about a lot is when we say we want, like, the need come from the need of validation, acknowledgement, it's from the people we care about. So this is not me having people that I don't care about tell me I should go places or trying to convince me, or it is about people that I care about. And it's not even their point of view, it's the point of view that I am creating. Is really like a need that I nearly want them to have of me.
Mm.
It's so the whole, it's a construct of so many things that actually makes me feel bad, but I am the one creating that. And I think that's what I really discovered. I discovered that if I didn't have a point of view, if I didn't have to explain or justify, nobody else did either. Because somebody choosing for,
That's gold. That is
yeah,
absolutely gold, guys. It's like if you don't have a point of view, if you are literally choosing, you don't have a point of view, you don't have to justify your choices, then that energy is not being projected at somebody else for them to have a point of view about what you're choosing. As Katerina said, she realized she was creating it. It's like, how many of you are creating this like angst, this quote unquote feeling bad, this, you know, frustration, this, you don't have that sense that your life is yours, but it's all created from your point of view. It's not actually a truth. So even ask for the truth to actualize. And if you were truly choosing to create your life, what would you choose?
and I get is such a gift. So I notice when other people are choosing based on what they
Mhm.
really are congruent with, like energetically congruent with, and they're choosing that, I love that. It
Mm.
gives me freedom that they're choosing. Like always, yes or no, it doesn't matter if somebody's saying yes or no to whatever, I'm suggesting or whatever they're choosing. So me choosing that has to be that gift to other people as well. It's like there's nothing to hook onto. It's like
Yeah.
then we're flowing, our lives are like flowing beside or, moving. Um,
Oh, I love
ease.
this. Yeah. And, I remember when I had, it always sounds like it's well, I mean, my past long-term relationship, he had a child, right? So I had a step kid. So for 8 years. And so when with my stepchild, there was moments where I would, because all of a sudden I had a 5-year-old and I was like, I have a 5-year-old in my life. Like a 5-year-old requires stuff. But also I was looking at these things that now that I have a 5-year-old or a kid, I cannot choose this, right? And I was assuming something and I was concluding something rather than being in question. And I remember a very potent thing that Gary Douglas said to me. He said, you need to choose, and as you choose, you show your kids that they can also choose for them.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like this, you have to glump, now that you're a family, you have to glump everything together and we have to choose the same thing. And I was like, God, that's so friggin' brilliant. Like, and I looked at that all the time because I could see where I was dismissing myself for my stepson. And he wasn't asking me to. I was just like, now that I'm a stepmother, this is what you have to do. It's not true. Do you change your lifestyle? Sure. Like, do you change a lot of things, like even the travel or anything like that? We always had to look at, okay, what is this going to look like? What is this going to be like? What works for everyone? But it wasn't from choosing against what I would like to have as my life. I was choosing this as my life. And I think that's a really imperative piece that you have to get. Are you choosing who you have in your life? Are you choosing what you have in your life? And is it actually working for you? Or would you like to change something?
My daughter is 22 now, and she just like a few months ago, she gave me one of the most beautiful acknowledgments I ever got. She said, "One of the things I learned from you is to choose with integrity, like what works for you all the time." And I'm like, wow, if there's
That's so cool.
anything I could have chosen to give to you and give to you, it's actually that. And it just like, so I was blown away by that. And I was like, if we can show kids that,
Yeah.
creates a whole different future.
Yeah. I love that. And then now so that's family. Now, if you look at the relationships that you're in or have been in,
Mm.
anyone listening, it's like, are you choosing based on the need of pleasing somebody, what you think pleases them too, or proving something? And as Kat mentioned before, it's usually the people that you care a lot about. Or are you actually choosing for you?
Mm.
Like, how many people choose against themselves to maintain a relationship, to maintain that platform? And I know that there's a lot of people who've said, oh, people in Access don't like relationships. That's absolutely bullshit. The
Mm.
thing that I would, encourage is don't choose a bad one. If you're going to choose relationship, choose it because it's friggin' fun. It's joyful. It's a contribution to you and your body. It's not making you less than of a being on this planet. Because we don't need, there we go again, we don't
Yeah.
need to have a relationship. Relationship should not be a necessity. It should be a choice.
Mm. And really, I get that this, like this, if you're if you're in a relationship with somebody, having choice is what's going to make it work. At least,
No, but you say that, we know that, and then you choose against that. It's crazy.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, when you said like we're choosing based on their needs, but I also think we're choosing, this is so strange, but I think we do this too a lot of times. We're choosing because of the need we want them to have of us.
Yeah.
So it's like it's like a double whammy, because we've given them that need that we think they should have of us to choose this, and therefore we can't choose it. So it's like, it's
You know, a friend of mine once said to me, to do with like men relationships, he said, Simone, how did he say this? He said, you like to be needed, but you don't like needy. And I was like, God, that nailed it. It was like the second someone's needy, I'm like, oh, that's ugly.
Yeah.
It's like, but there's an energy of I like to be needed. And it was true. And here's the thing, guys, all of this is not right or wrong. This is about you having the awareness of what you prefer, what you like, but is it expanding your life? You know, like Kat's talking about travel. I look at travel all the time. It's because I do. I travel a lot. Someone asked me the other day, and I literally worked it out, and I went, oh, it is about 8 months of the year I travel.
Yeah.
That's a lot. And it's like, is it working for me and my body? Okay. Always including my body as well. And I'm trying desperately not to go to conclusion. I'm trying different things out, like being here for 2 months, going to Europe for 3 months, and seeing how this works. And so far I've been enjoying it. And then I enjoy when I go home, but it's been in constant question, like coming out of conclusion of, oh, that works, that means I'll do that again. No, will that work for 2026? Will that work for 2027? Be in question. What changes in your life? What changes in the world? What changes with your desires? All of it and more. Be in question and be willing to pivot and choose something different, and not based on what you've decided the need was before. It's like everything, like, you know, you mentioned frequencies before. Our whole planet, like the ecosystem of this planet, we are a part of the ecosystem, is that frequency is changing all the time. Let's change with it, you know?
And it is, because when you're saying this thing with travel, it's so, because it's so easy to try to find the right formula and then, you know, and then choose according to that right formula. I mean, we've been taught that that's what we're supposed to do our whole lives, you know, you're going to find the right. So this being in the question, that's also continuously choosing, because choice creates awareness. Like awareness, you can't figure out the awareness. So you're basically like continuously choosing things to try them out, but not always even going there. Like that's also what I really get. Like just by kind of visiting a possible choice, you know, energetically, we get an awareness, and we have to be willing to choose it. Like not just, you know, imagine. So there are ways. It's kind of like being in that constant motion with the questions. And I don't know, maybe it's not more fun for everyone, but for me, it's so much more fun when I'm willing to be a little bit uncomfortable, because I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to choose. Like I'm not and I know I trust myself to actually have that gift of choosing.
Yeah. And I like when you said about the formula part, Kat, because how many of you choose a formula on something, but you choose it not because it's creating something greater, because you have something to complain about, because you can now be normal.
Right.
You can now just have like a good life rather than an exceptional, phenomenal living, you know, like that formula. Go, well, this is what I, you know, this is what I did. You know, I had kids, I got married, I live here, or, you know, I grew up poor, or blah, blah, blah. That's a formula and a structure that you create so that you can, you have a justification for never choosing something greater. So all the formulas and all the structures and all the platforms that you have created, so that you never get to choose everything that you actually desire and deserve, will you destroy and uncreate it, times a godzillion. We're writing on good and bad, POC and POD, all 100 shorts, boys, proverts, creations, spaces, and beyonds. And that is the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement, by the way. I don't always use it on all of my podcasts. I use it when it pops. Today, it's popping. If you want to find out more about it, you can go to theclearingstatement.com. And myself and Dr. Dane here give a give a brief and a long description. You choose how much you would like to know about the clearing statement.
And that's so brilliant because we actually put a long and a short description so
Yeah,
people could have choice depending on, you know, the vibration of their day, how much time they have, what are they willing to receive. So, yes.
exactly. So, Kat, is there anything else that you would like to, anyone listening to this who has the sense that this is great that Kat and Simone are talking about this, but they don't know my life. They don't know that I've got XYZ. They don't know da da da. Because that's what I see a lot of people do. They go, oh yeah, but you don't know my problem or my situation. Is there any tool, question, or anything you would like to offer to people listening to this where they have the point of view that they can't change what they're currently choosing?
Well, one of the things that I get is really cool to try is to start saying no, like start choosing no and start choosing yes. But really, like this, where all the places where you usually say yes on
Mm-hmm.
automatic, like these are the things that I do, these are the things that are part of my platform, what I do. Just start saying no sometimes to those, like see what happens. And then the same thing with the, well, maybe that, yeah. So the yes places, do the same. Say, start, well, opposite. The no places where you usually say no, start trying and say yes. Because we're so used to going to the formula of these are my choices. This is what I choose. And then we stick to that. And it doesn't give us that kind of adventure of exploring what actually works. So like even our brains are get so excited when we try new ways of moving, for example, ways of moving that we haven't tried before, or we see something new or learn something new. Your brain really likes that. So does your being.
Mm.
So just by starting to choose things that you don't usually would say yes to, then you start saying yes, and things that you usually would, say yes to, start like saying, huh, no, not this time. Like
Mm.
it's not this like the one and only choice. It's that dancing with the choices. So, and I get that works on any kind of life, like it, or anywhere you're in your life, because
Mm.
a life isn't just one thing, but we all have different stages of our lives. And that works, whatever is going on in your life, just starting to really play and explore choice. And that no can be so amazing. If you're one that usually says yes, just a no that really like your willingness to say no when something doesn't work for you, it's a gift for everyone, for you and everyone around you.
Yeah, and a lot of the times it's a gift for your body. And thank
Yes.
you. I love this that you've said this, and I'm just going to expand on it as well, because as you were talking, all these things were popping for me. So if you look at what Kat suggested, and the home play that you could take away from that is look at, maybe there's different areas of your life. Maybe look at business and work. It's like, where are you just being complacent rather than choosing something different? Would something different be more fun, be more joyful? You know, take a risk with some investment, etc. It's like, in anything I invest, I'm always willing to lose so that I don't have this need that this investment has to do XYZ. But what if you played with it? Like just before we came on here, I was looking up the prices of gold and silver and platinum again, because I was thinking of investing more in that, and it's like, it's not a for sure thing. What are you aware of? What do you know? So you start being in question, playing with that. I was talking to someone the other day and they said, like, I think they were like 47 or 48. And they were like, and I still don't have XYZ. And I said, yeah, but you just have to start. I see people looking for, I've got to buy a house. I started my first stock portfolio with $50, and I didn't tell anyone because I was embarrassed. I thought, oh, you must need thousands of dollars to invest. I started with $50, and it increased and increased and increased. It's like, you just start playing. Like if it's money and investments or something like that, revenue streams, ask what would it take for more revenue streams to show up, or your business or your work. Like ask to maybe try something out different within the business. There's that. And then your relationships and your friendships, etc. Like as you were saying this, just say no. I was thinking about all the places where people go, oh, I've got to go to this dinner party, I've got to go to this party,
Yeah.
I've got to do this, rather than going, no, You don't have to tell them the truth. You can always say that you have diarrhea or something like this, and people don't argue against that. But say if your body's not desiring to go and you don't want to go, say no, do something for you. And then I was looking at bodies. And as you were saying, and I know Kat and I have conversations about this, periodically, because we both explore different things with our bodies. And, one thing I keep looking at is I'm in my mid 50s and, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, I also want to be able to be mobile and be able to be moving, etc. So what do I need to institute today? And I just started this thing about a month ago now, 5 weeks ago, called Moves Method. And I'm really enjoying it. And I'm taking it at my pace because my coach, like I hired a coach for a year and I meet with him every 2 weeks. He's funny because he's like, wow, so you've had a really busy week. And I'm thinking, yeah, my next week also is very similar. So he's getting to learn that my life is it's not a Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, but I'm doing what I'm doing when I'm doing it. And my body is loving it. And yet being here, like I think it was 2 days ago, I went to go for a horse ride. My body's like, no. I went to work out. My body's like, no. I went to go for a walk or a run. My body's like, no. And I just got my bars run for like 3 hours, not watching anything, listening to anything. I just had nature. That's what I was listening to. And it was amazing. But then yesterday I went riding twice. I worked out. I went for a run. And then I woke up this morning. I was meant to go riding and my body was like, that's a no. Maybe later today. But start listening to this. And just because you say something, it doesn't mean you have to fulfill it. You're allowed to pivot and change your mind. Stop like looking at where you think, as Kat said, you feel bad or you're going to let someone down. It's like as you follow the energy and shift and change, it creates a change in everybody's universe. And like as Kat was saying, it creates a change for everybody, not just you. And that is choosing for you from inclusion and from following the energy and, being more conscious with what it is that you desire as your life.
And it's really such a good example, this with bodies, because, we do have a relationship with our body of some kind, sometimes community and relationship. And this, with our bodies, like I tend to do something every morning with my body. And for a period, I tended to do the same thing. And my body got very bored. That did not work for my body. But I had a point of view that, I should be doing that was good for my body. It's good for me. It was like all these things like dotted on a.
No question. Just it's good for me. Yeah.
Like, this is what I'm doing. And then I felt bad the times I didn't do it. Right. So then I basically created, a whole thing like on my own, just me and, my body and my house. And I think the last few months or when maybe it's even a year, I've completely stopped that. And I wake up in the morning and I really ask, hey, body, would you like to move? Right? Not even how should we move this morning? Because then I'm already into the conclusion, but really, your body, how would you like to start the day?
Yeah.
And what happens is I do very different things every day, but actually my body really loves doing something. And sometimes it loves doing nothing. And I think that's where, if we go back to that beginning, when the need to fulfill this every morning, we should do something, falls away, I trust the choice that me and my body makes together. Yeah. I trust this. I don't have to judge it. I don't have to explain it or justify it. I just trust it. And then that flow starts already there. So yeah, thank you for mentioning body. It's like an amazing playmate with this yes and no thing.
Well, your body is the only thing that you're literally with 24/7.
And your whole life. Yeah. Your body is the one thing you're with your whole life.
You chose it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, Kat, thank you so much for being here. We will have where people can find you in the show notes. So please don't forget to subscribe and you'll get all the show notes, etc. And where can people find you?
Oh, well, they can find me on my homepage. So it's katerinawallentin.com. And there's all different kinds of classes and sessions and explorations and podcasts too, actually. I have a podcast called Getting Intimate, where I explore how to get intimate with all kinds of people and things in the world.
I love it. Getting intimate. Cool. So thank you for being on here. Thank you for acknowledging the being needless is going to create a hell of a lot more than needing.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Kat. And thank you, everybody, for listening. I really appreciate it. I think as this comes out, the next thing I'll be doing is a choice for possibilities in Ecuador. So we've been talking about choice a lot here today. And hey, choice for possibilities, it is more of an advanced class. You have to have done a bars and a foundation class. But if you're interested, you can come to Ecuador or you can come online as well. And go to accessconsciousness.com and get your bars run. Find a facilitator somewhere in the world. We literally have thousands and thousands of facilitators and practitioners who you can get to run your bars or attend a bars class, because it's like, is your life working as you would like now, or is there something different and something greater that you would like to choose? So thank you for being here, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.